What's up everybody, welcome back. So it's Go Battle weekend in Pokemon Go, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing one of the fastest teams that you can use to get through your battles quickly. Basically a team comp consisting of Swampert in the lead with Granbull as the safe swap and Gardevoir as the closer, all three of them being Shadow. And this is the team that I've been using on and off to get through my battles, and honestly this isn't the most innovative or profound team comp that no one's ever come up with. It's basically just a Swampert Double fairy line, although it's not a double charm line because Granbull is running Snarl. So hopefully that makes it a little less toxic, but I do believe that it makes sense to run Snarl. Obviously it provides Granbull a little bit more versatility as the safe swap, and I wouldn't recommend running Gardevoir because this thing is so glassy. You're probably better off running something like Clefable or Wigglytuff for more reliable matchups. But then again, I decided to go with Gardevoir because it's just so oppressive, and if you can line up the matchups correctly, it can destroy backlines, right? And overall, this is not the most reliable team, but then again, if you can play it well enough, you can consistently get 3 and 2 sets and probably steadily climb below there. So there's some really fun battles in here. Let's get straight into it. Moving on to the first battle here, we have Swampert into a defense farm Deoxys. Honestly, DD isn't as much of an issue for this team because all three of these Pokemon do kind of well against defense farm Deoxys. I do let the first one go through. They decide to go for the Rock Slide bait, and now they stay in, and now they make a switch into their Diggersby. This is again where Granbull with Snarl is so devastating, right? I'm able to get to 2 close combats here. I'm going to go for the first close combat right now. It does get the shield from the Diggersby. I'm able to get to the second close combat as well, and the second close combat gets the second shield. Now this is absolutely beautiful because again we have shield advantage and this is massive. I'm not going to shield this because they are at 2 fire punches right now, and if I shield once I'll have to burn both shields. So I just basically decide to come back with Swampert and go for the Hydro Cannon right away here. And this is a CMP tie. It's obviously just going to be a fire punch. It was too soon to be an earthquake. There's no reason for me to shield this. And I'm going to basically bank a Hydro Cannon and then switch into my Gardevoir and try and farm this thing all the way down. Now, even though Gardevoir is extremely glassy, I can tank a Fire Punch, especially it's a non-stab Fire Punch coming from Diggersby. Back in comes Defense Deoxys. Now, these counters are double resisted, right, because of the Psychic Fairy typing. And all I need to do is shield these charge moves here. Looks like they're not running Psycho Boost because they just decide to go straight Rock Slide, and we're able to completely farm down. And they have an Umbreon in the back end. This is beautiful. I'm going for the Shadow Ball, obviously, because both Synchronize and Shadow Ball are resisted. Shadow Ball is single resisted, whereas Synchronize would be double resisted. But as you can see, Charm is absolutely destroying that Umbreon. That ends up being a double knockout. We still had Swampert with energy in the back, and that's going to be a good game. So that's again one of those situations where Shadow Gardevoir, being so oppressive, is able to clutch up a win for us there. Moving on to the next one here, we have Swampert into the Mirror. Not the most ideal situation because my Swampert obviously has good PvP IVs, which means that it's going to lose a lot of CMPs. But I'm going to shield the first Hydro Cannon here, and then yeah, just over farming a little bit more. They're probably at they're probably at Hydro Cannon as well here. I go for the first Hydro Cannon right now. As you can see, this ends up, I think we won CMP there, which is kind of surprising. So they probably have 0 attack there, which is really nice. But anyways, I'm going to build up a little bit extra, going for the next Hydro Cannon here, and then they actually let that go through, which is really interesting. And now they make a switch into their Vigoroth. Again, I'm going to build up to almost 2 Hydro Cannons here. I'm going to go for the first one right now. This should get the shield from the Vigoroth. Building up to the next one and catching a Body Slam on the Gardevoir. I just want to bang that energy on Swampert in case they have a Steel type or something in the back. But then again, this is a decent matchup for Gardevoir because those counters are double resisted and they have to go for another move to KO, right? They've probably built up to almost 2 Body Slams right now, and they're throwing the first one. So I'm not going to risk it. I'm just going to basically come back with my Swampert. Obviously, wait out my switch clock and then come in with my Swampert and go for the Hydro Cannon right away because I don't want to take a Body Slam on either of my Swampert or Granbull, and hopefully Granbull is going to be able to sweep towards endgame here. Let's see what they have in the back. Right, they still have a very minimum health Swampert in the back, which has probably a little bit of energy. They try to snipe with Swampert, but they fail it. But anyways, I'm able to get to a Hydro Cannon against this Mandibuzz here, and this is perfect for me. I'm going to try and just get to another one right now, and we are able to get to another one, and at this point Granbull is going to be able to close it out here. So Hydro Cannon is going to come through. It's going to do massive damage and also ends up being a CMP tie, which is like the best case scenario. Honestly, we didn't even need that because Granbull would have, they decide to undercharge, but it's too little too late at this point because I can get to a close combat, and they realize that and decide to concede the match there. So we are like, I had a pretty sort of a positive start with this team comp. We do have a few losses coming up later in the video. Like I said, it's not the most perfect team comp out there. As you can see, we have a Registeel on the lead with a Defense Deoxys on the safe swap. I switched in my Granbull here. Granbull has a pretty solid matchup against Defense Deoxys because Crunch is doing super effective damage. And I do have to shield though, because again, Shadow Granbull is so glassy. I mean, I do want to maintain switch advantage. They go Thunderbolt right away. I'm going to try and farm down. This is too soon to be another Thunderbolt. Probably it's going to be a Psycho Boost here. It is a Psycho Boost, but I have to shield this anyways. And I'm going to try and fully farm down. At this point, we've lost like 2 shields. But then again, Granbull with energy is devastating, right? Again, I'm going for the close combat. I'm not even going to bait against Registeel here. I'm going straight for the close combat. Able to get to the second close combat as well. This should get the second shield from Registeel. And I'm just going to stay in and let's see what happens here, right? Again, Granbull is able to get to a third close combat as well. Again, Shadow close combat against Registeel is going to do massive, super effective damage. And they're going to have to throw a move, right? They cannot lock on farm me down. They make a switch into their obstacle. I try to get to another close combat. Unfortunately, we faint just as we get to it. But that's okay. We have a Gardevoir, which is absolutely going to be able to clean up. But unfortunately, we do take neutral damage from Night Slashes. So I do a couple extra charms here and then switch into my Swampert right now. Registeel has a move. They banked a bunch of energy before switching. So I'm basically going to build up to 2 Hydro Cannons here and then throw the first one on Obstagoon. Obviously, Swampert wins CMP against Obstagoon and against Registeel. So I go for the first Hydro Cannon to take out the Obstagoon, and the second Hydro Cannon will be taking out the Registeel there. So Registeel on the lead is definitely something you want to see. Honestly, Registeel isn't as much of an issue because as you can see, Granbull honestly does pretty well against it, especially with Snarl Granbull, right? Snarl, close combat, energy generation. It's actually a much better matchup than you might think it is. So moving on to the next one here, we have Swampert into a Golbat. Honestly, this is one Pokemon that you definitely want to catch in the lead because my backline definitely does not want to go up against poison types here. This is a pretty solid matchup for Swampert. They did build up quite a bit. So this could be a Shadow Ball and I called the Shadow Ball correctly. Honestly, if I'd let that go through, I probably would have taken the L here. But anyways, I go for the Hydro Cannon here. It does obviously get the shield because that's going to do massive damage against Golbat. Building up a lot of extra energy and going for another Hydro Cannon right now. They are building up quite a bit of energy here. And at this point, I'm not going to lie, I just lost track of the energy account, which is why I decided to shield this. Ends up being a Poison Fang bait, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to go for another Hydro Cannon here. And this Hydro Cannon is going to do massive damage to this Golbat. As you can see, just basically almost KOs it and puts it into probably Charm farm down range. That's all I want, right? I'm going to stay with my Swampert, tank the Poison Fang, and hopefully Gardevoir is going to be able to farm down. It's going to be very close and we're barely able to farm down. They were probably very close to a Poison Fang there. And let's see what they decide to come in with. We have no shields right now. This could be slightly tricky. They make a switch in they come in with their Quagsire. I immediately switch into my Granbull because I need to outpace them. I'm able to get to a close combat just before they can get to a move here. Close combat is going to do massive damage against this Quagsire and also ends up being a CMP tie, which is the best case scenario here. They go for the Sludge Bomb. It one-shots the Granbull and hopefully once again I can charm down before they can get to a move, which I'm able to. And they have a Scrafty in the back. This is one Pokemon you love to see. Gardevoir absolutely destroys the Scrafty, making it regret its existence. And yeah, that's like one of the best matchups that you can see in the game here. That took like what, 3 charms probably. But anyways, moving on to the next one here, we have a Swampert into a Registeel once again. They make a switch into their Swampert, and I'm not exactly sure what I should do at this point because also we end up losing CMP tie. As you can see that I really can't switch it into any of my back Pokemon against a loaded Swampert because again, both Granbull and Gardevoir would get one shot by Hydro Cannon, right? So I'm going to stay in here and then basically just shield this up as well. And then because we lose CMP, I'm not going to get to the third Hydro Cannon before they can get to it, right? So just before I get to Hydro Cannon, I'm just going to go for the first Hydro Cannon. I'm going to try and catch the next on the Gardevoir. I'm basically going to fully sack the Gardevoir here because I feel more like obviously preserving Swampert would have more value in this situation. And at this point, I think they overfarmed just a little bit. So I'm just going to come in with my Swampert, do one extra mud shot, and then basically throw right away. I probably could have done like a couple of extra mud shots, but then again, I wasn't exactly sure if they're like probably 1 or 2 away from the next Hydro. They come in with their Alolan Ninetales, and that actually ends up costing me. As you can see here, we lag a little bit just as we get to the Sludge Wave. And if I'd overfarmed a little bit in the Swampert matchup, I could have gotten off Sludge Wave, and then I could have come in with my Granbull and gotten off a close combat against the Registeel there. Moving on to the next one here, we have Swampert into a Talonflame. You'd love to see it. They make a switch into their Surfetch. We immediately go into the Gardevoir. It basically just takes 3 charms to take out the Gardevoir, to take out the Surfetch. Any one move we can tank from this range. And back in comes, they actually come in with their Trevenant. Now Trevenant can be a bit of an issue for this team. This team is kind of ABA weak to Trev. But that's okay. Again, I'm going to let this go through. We know it's just going to be a Seed Bomb, right? We can tank a Seed Bomb and I can go for the Crunch right now. I mean, and I'm just going to preserve the shield for Swampert. Yes, even with a shield advantage, Swampert can deal with a half health Trevenant for sure. So yeah, I'm just going to basically come in with my Swampert here. Absolutely going to shield this. And all I need to do is just get rid of this Trevenant, right? But actually make a switch into their Talonflame. This allows me the opportunity to overfarm. I'm going to build up maximum energy right now and going for the Hydro Cannon here. And Hydro Cannon actually gets the shield. And I'm able to get to another Hydro Cannon, which is very surprising. I mean, because they didn't throw an extra move in, and I'm not sure what happened if they didn't tap, or we managed to get a deny, which shouldn't have obviously happened as per the new move updates. But anyways, back in comes Trevenant. We shield the Seed Bomb here, and we get to the Hydro Cannon on the CMP. And Hydro Cannon, even though resisted from a Shadow Swampert, is easily going to do like almost, it does about half of Trevenant's health, right? Which is more than what we need in this situation there. So moving on to the next one here, we have Swampert into an Altaria. Again, this can be slightly tricky, honestly, but again, we have two solid responses to Altaria in the back. We make a switch into the Granbull, and they come in with their Shadow Victory Bell. Now, Shadow Victory Bell is definitely a core breaker. It has the potential to beat my entire team, but they let the crunch go through, which is huge, and also ends up being a double KO. Now, this is a huge call, right? I need to make sure that if they come back with their Altaria, I'm assuming they come back with their Altaria, which is why I come in with my Gardevoir. We face a bunch of lag here, but they come in with their Kanto Ninetales, and this is very unfortunate for me because honestly, this was like a 50-50 thing. If I'd come in with my Swampert, I could have had my Swampert on their Ninetales and Gardevoir on the Altaria. Unfortunately, it ends up being the other way around, and because of that, we just got RPS there. I mean, unfortunately, just nothing much you can do right now. Honestly, again, a Shadow Victory Bell team can be pretty difficult to beat. But honestly, if I'd called that, if I had just expected them to not come in with that Altaria, knowing that I wouldn't come in with my Swampert, I probably should have, I guess, predicted better there. But anyways, yeah, it was a tough loss there. Moving on to the next one here, we have Swampert into a Scrafty. We have two better responses to Scrafty, immediately switching to my Granbull right now. And they make a switch to their Nidoqueen. Now, Nidoqueen, again, on the safe swap can be slightly difficult because, again, Shadow Granbull is not going to be able to get to two crunches before, again, as you can see, we die just as we get to the second crunch. Obviously, my Granbull doesn't have the perfect PvP IVs. Even though the IVs are PvP-ish, it's actually not the optimal PvP IVs you need, as you can see. It maxes out at 1467, which is not ideal, but then again, that's okay. Alright, back in comes Nidoqueen's going for the Poison Fang here. We survive with like 1 HP to get off a Hydro Cannon, and at this point, it's all up to Gardevoir with 2 shields to be able to close it out. Back in comes Scrafty. We're going to fully farm down here, and this is probably going to be a foul play, which is why I decided to shield, and this is where I make a huge mistake, right? That was definitely a huge... Honestly, if I hadn't shielded that move, I could have won this game, as you'll see here, because again, with the Azumarill, you can see we are absolutely destroying Azumarill with Charm. But then again, with a shieldless advantage, it's going to be difficult to come out of this matchup because Azumarill is way too tanky, and you're going to definitely need 2 shields to buy enough time to basically farm it all the way down, right? As you can see, we're not going to be... my switch timer is not back up yet. I'm not going to be able to catch on Swampert. And if I hadn't shielded the power-up punch, then we would have had some sort of play because, again, Scrafty would have pretty much gone down to 2 charms there. So moving on to the next battle here, we have Swampert into a Magcargo. This is the beautiful lead. This is absolutely fantastic. It's a good thing we caught this in the lead. My backline definitely does not want to see a Magcargo. They make a switch into their Trevenant. I was slightly slow to switch, which is not ideal because Trevenant with the shield advantage, with an energy advantage, can flip this matchup. But for some reason, they go straight Shadow Ball, which is definitely, I think, a bit of a misplay on their part. They're probably better off going for Seed Bomb. But I guess they just wanted to like go for the one shot just in case I didn't shield. That's probably the only reason I can think of. But anyways, they go for the Seed Bomb. Right now, I have to shield this. I cannot have... I mean, even it doesn't matter even if I burn both my shields here. I have to win switch advantage, right? I have to go for the crunch right now. I'm hoping they let this go through, which they do, which is huge at this point. And I'm expecting the Magcargo to come back in to try and farm down. But they actually come in with their Walrein. I'm able to get to a close combat as well. This is huge. This is probably going to get the final shield from Walrein, which it does. And at this point, I can just come in with my Gardevoir right now, and I can just align my Swampert against their Magcargo there. So coming in the Gardevoir here, we can tank 1 Icicle Spear. They have to go for Earthquake to KO, which they do go for Earthquake, which is fine by me. Because at this point, we're like 3 Mud Shots away from the Sludge Wave. I go for the Sludge Wave as soon as I can. Again, Swampert does not need energy or shield advantage to basically beat Magcargo because everything there is resisted. And Hydro Cannon is going to do double super effective damage because of the Rock Fire typing. You don't see too many Magcargos in the Great League, but I guess it works in this team comp. They had like 2 solid checks to Swampert in the form of Walrein and Trev, but luckily we were able to pull it off there. So finishing off the 3-2 set, like I said, this team can consistently give you 3-2 sets if you play it well. As you saw, there were quite a few losses there. We did take... we did get hard countered in a few situations, which is why I guess it's better off running Clefable or Wigglytuff for more reliable matchups. But then again, it was definitely a lot of fun running Gardevoir. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.